Hello my boils, my ghouls, and my zools. Welcome back to Kalash Kamaz. I'm rolling into 2023 with the brain fog like...
Get inside and lock your doors.
So today we are going to be talking about some of my more higher round count, more used competition AKs. Because I have a little bit of a collection of competition AKs at this point. We're not going to be looking at any surplus AKs that have, you know, fucking thousands of rounds dumped into them from some desert and God knows where. We're going to be looking more at the guns I've picked up and put together for the competitions I've been doing in the past year and a half or so since I've started competing. And we'll talk about their evolution a little bit, how they've been treating me, and, you know, approximately how many rounds each one has. So let's get going here. So first up, we got the trusty dusty M90. And this guy is probably rolling somewhere around 6,000 to 7,000 rounds in the past year. I mean, this thing had a case dumped in it the first weekend I had it. And then the next weekend had a whole other case dumped through it. So this gun has had a bit of rounds in a short amount of time. And it's treated me well. It actually hasn't had one malfunction. It's had a few cleanings. I mean, you can see the bolt carrier is in the white, so yeah, it's had some cleanings. So this rifle started life with the you know, Hogue grip and the Zukov and the, you know, black furniture and all that. So it's had a few evolutions. The first thing to get swapped out was the stock. Originally it had a Kalashnikov triangle stock on there, and then I ended up finding this random Circle 10 for real cheap, so I picked it up. And yeah, I like triangle stocks a lot. Probably going to go back to that wood triangle stock. The only real reason I don't use that one too much is because I need to refinish it to match, at least, you know, get the wood a little darker because it's blonde, and I don't really have any other blonde Yugo furniture. So yeah, I kind of wanted to refinish it just to get it a little darker so it would match in better with more, you know, pretty furniture. So this upper handguard, I believe that was like a Reddit thing or something like that. Can't really remember. Lower handguard is a TDI. You know, I like these TDIs a lot. They're lightweight, they're cheap, they work well, they have plenty of M-lock. About my only complaint is I wish the heat vents back, like down here, I wish those were M-lock, man. Which Kyber Customs is now making a handguard where the rearmost section is a slot of M-lock, so that's pretty cool. That's something I've wanted for a long time, and I believe they actually are manufactured by TDI. So as a lot of you know, the M90 does have adjustable gas. Generally this guy lives on gas setting 1 pretty much most of its life. You know, you could use gas setting 2 to move a little bit of carbon through, use gas setting 3 to move a little bit of carbon through. I haven't really needed to. I mean, I shoot some dirty ass nasty ammo out of that thing all the time like anybody else does, and it eats everything and it just keeps running. I've had some questions on how rivets are holding up and all that, and yeah, I don't think this gun has any heat treating issues. I think that's all some bullshit at this point. Really, I mean, about the only thing you could note is, yeah, they pressed in the front rivets, the trunnion rivets over here. Pressed them in a bit hard, but that's actually not a problem. You know, that's completely normal. You'll see plenty of Russian guns that have that same exact thing going on. I mean, all the rivets are fine. They look normal. They look completely normal. But yeah, if you're curious, all the rivets are fine. It's a beautiful gun, it shoots well, and I mean, I'm still actually rocking the factory trigger on it. It's one of the few guns I'm just keeping the factory trigger on there. I like the trigger a lot. It's a pretty fast trigger for a factory trigger. I always said that. I said that since day one. To to be honest with you, it's one of the few factory triggers that I can actually go fast with, because, like, you know, I ain't so much of a go fast shooter. You know, I'm not trying to get to that fucking machine gun level or anything like that. I just want my performance clean. But, you know, that for a factory trigger, it's kind of a go fast gun. And, you know, that's the real magic of the gas setting 1 with the adjustable gas on that gun, is it moves just enough gas to not slow you down, but it really lightens up your shots. It's real nice. So moving on, got the M85. And you guys have seen the evolution of this gun all the way through this channel, man. This guy has had a little bit of an evolution. And of course, this started out life as a factory M85, and it had the black wood furniture on here, and you know, they come with Picatinny on the back. I've since replaced that chunk of Picatinny that I did break. You know, it's just a piece of cast Picatinny, so no big deal. All that happened was it hadn't had a cleaning in a long time, and I had to mortar a couple rounds, and unfortunately when I was mortaring them, the Picatinny broke on the back. I think we saw that, I think I actually showed that on the channel when it happened, come to think of it. So this gun, I lost count after probably around 5,000 rounds, so I have no clue how many rounds this thing has had. I mean, it's been through a lot of competition since I lost count, because, I mean, this guy was getting a lot of use, man. I mean, I was using this thing 7 days a week at one point, just practicing. I was making pretty good money at the time, and I was buying like 2 cases of ammo a month at the time. And plus, I used to be one of them people that hoarded ammo, so I had quite a stock of ammo, and I had a lot of fun with this gun, depleting that stock. So starting from the front here, we got a CNC Warrior compensator, like 74 style compensator. I keep this guy on here because it works as both a booster and a compensator. I mean, the 74 style brake is a great brake right out of the factory, but you add it onto this little short guy and let this act as a booster. It works really well. It works really well. I think we all saw what happened to my blunderbuss incident with my original booster. So yeah, I had to look for some kind of option real quick because, you know, wanted to make sure the gun was all right. So I found the CNC Warrior. Turned out to be a fantastic option after that little blunderbuss incident. So one of the first modifications I did was the Ultimac. And that's because I wanted some more rail space. This guy had the, you know, just original dust cover with just a small section of Picatinny on there, and I had been running it, just experimenting with that, seeing how it is, because, you know, it's like a crank. It's you know, bolted in right up here, so, you know, it's a little bit more stability than just, you know, the stupid Picatinny like Amazon dust covers that have like you know, Picatinny on top. It's, you know, cheesy shit. But I ran that setup at the first Red October I did, and it did great. But then I got back. I wasn't running an EOTech at the time. It was a Primary Arms MD25 at the time, so it wasn't a big old heavy optic, but still had to come home and Loctite down my Picatinny on that rail, and then it's like, okay, whatever, we'll have to think about some kind of option in the future. And then even with the Loctite, man, I don't know if it's the heat or whatever, it still came loose. So I just ordered this Texas Weapon Systems, gave it a try. I'd heard good things about the Gen 3s, and I can confirm the Gen 3 is a great option, man. I've heard a lot of people complain about the older ones, but Gen 3 is solid, man. The Gen 3 is solid. I don't have any experience with the older ones, so I can't tell you, but man, it locks up great. I don't have any zero problems, and I mean, it does have repeatability, so nothing to worry about there. The upper hand guard was originally just, you know, black, you know, Zastava furniture. But one of the first things I picked up for it was a Bandito from Kalash, and that's really the handguard that made me fell in love with Kalashnikar furniture, man. It's just so comfortable. They look really good. I was able to get some of the rare laminate wood that's like just super pretty. It's just like this, but the other one has, you know, the natural finish. You've seen that handguard plenty on here. I believe it was the M85 Type R video I made or something like that. I can't remember what I called it. And of course ALG. That guy was fitted in there by Liberty Gunsmithing. I didn't do that one myself. One interesting thing about the trigger job is it is polished, but it is actually not profiled. So that's a little interesting. So here, got rounds in that mag. Still very, very smooth. It just didn't need to be profiled was all. So one interesting thing about this trigger and the trigger job, it is not profiled, but it is polished, and you'll notice has no hang up at all. It's still very, very, very smooth. It just didn't need to be profiled. That's all it was. So one of the other first things this rifle got was a JMac armbar and a tail hook, because you need some kind of brace option. And you know, and I didn't want to mess around with like SB Tacticals or anything like that. I was intending this gun to be the gun that, you know, I just threw everything at. I got what I wanted to get on it. So this originally had a JMac armbar and that old Coyote tail hook I had on there. And you know, that's one of the last things I did. So really the trigger thing, it went back a little bit. It's not profiled, but it's polished, as I said, and that was just getting the trigger pull real comfortable exactly where I wanted it. And after we got the trigger tuned, I wanted to move on to the furniture and have a little bit of fun. I already had some nice furniture on there, and I do really love Kalashnikarver. In full disclosure, they have hooked me up on quite a bit of stuff, and I mean, you know, I do advertise for them quite a bit, so you know, there is that, but I do it because it's really good stuff. So after we got the trigger tuned, the next thing I wanted to move on to was the furniture. And even though I already had some pretty decent furniture on there, like I said, I really wanted to throw everything at this rifle. And I'm a Kalashnikarver guy, and I really wanted some nice wood on here, so we went with a Kalashnikarver shark tooth. This nice, beautiful green. And the grip is called a humpback. Same laminate ash. And the tail hook. It's a nice little custom piece he does there. Even though you see the folding mechanism here, that actually does not fold anymore. It's been welded up. This is a fixed stock. Fixed brace, excuse me. So if you notice about the finish, it's got real deep green in some parts, and then you see wood coming through on some parts, and that's not like sanded down or anything. That's actually something we developed over the course of a couple days. And what that is it's to mimic the green and yellowish tints you see coming through on Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin costume from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. And so the last modification I did after everything all was said and done was the Krebs. And that's just because they were not in stock for the Yugos when I was putting this rifle together, and I had to wait a little bit before swapping out the safety. Dude, even though I've gotten real used to factory safeties, man, the Krebs just works perfectly on this gun. I think something about the length of pull and the way this gun just locks up into your shoulder and where your, you know, wrist placement is, it just, the whole feel of it, you know, it's a whole symbiosis. This gun has been mostly used during competition, but it's been used during a lot of competitions, man. I mean, at one point that gun was getting 2 competitions a week, sometimes 3. So, you know, about 100 rounds here, 100 rounds there, and then in between going to the range and practicing. That thing got a lot of rounds real quick. Sorry about that, folks. Needed to move over. We are running out of light here. So I think we would be remiss to talk about the AK-74, the PSA AK-74. I mean, this thing has had an absurd amount of rounds in it. I received this back from PSA. It was supposed to be in for repair for 4 months, and then they ended up just giving me a new rifle. And I got the rifle back the day before I left for Thunder on the Tundra, and I immediately used it at Thunder on the Tundra. And I used it all of October and all the way up until Sons of Liberty, and I've kept using it. This gun, I have had cases dumped through it. I've happened to have an absurd amount of 545 in the past few months, just an absolutely absurd amount of 545. So do not worry about the availability. If anybody's fucking it up, it's probably me right now. But I mean, seriously, you know, up until but to be honest with you, I'd been stockpiling 545 all year in preparation for October, and I knew I was going to want to practice a lot. And then also, you know, some trades and stuff like that, and I ended up getting a couple cases and, you know, shit like that here and there from stuff like that. So enough babbling about my hoarding. How many rounds does this thing have on it? Oh my God. So I got it back from PSA, we'll call it October 1st, and we just had the new year, so just a couple months, this thing has had about 6,000 rounds on it. About 6,000 rounds. And so I said I wanted to really trash this rifle and burn it down. That was kind of the goal, just stuffing as many goddamn rounds down range as I possibly could through this thing and giving it a really, really fair shakeout. So, how is it holding up? Well, I can say, not one issue. It's held up like an AK, man. I mean, all the rivets are perfectly fine. I neglected to check the headspace most of that time, but yeah, I checked the headspace. Headspace is completely fine. Trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, the common, yeah, it's not loose at all. It's exactly how it should be. We do not have a rattly fire pin, none of that. And the other thing that people trip about, the lugs. Lugs are fine, completely fine. No weird deformations, nothing strange for how many rounds it has through it. I mean, that's really the only thing you can say is, yeah, it's a little beat up from how many rounds it has through it, but I mean, nothing abnormal that, you know, say, you know, one of my like AKs that's well over 20 years old has or something like that. It's totally normal stuff. So this gun has treated me very, very well. And right now it's wearing some TDI stuff. You know, I made that Ukrainian setup video, and it largely wears that furniture most of the time. It's a great setup for this rifle, it really is. I mean, I'm definitely in the camp that AKs need wood, but you know, if some polymer shit works really well, I mean, I'm not going to argue. It just works really goddamn well. And oddly enough, I've said it a couple times, this has become one of my favorite grips. I mean, polymer grips, this is my favorite grip. It's actually taken over my love of the Tango Down. It's got a very Tango Down feel to it, but I love the finger grooves and they feel really nice. And and honestly, I really like that factory molded stippling that comes out. Like the texture that they have is really nice. It's perfect for me. It's perfect for me. It just works. Oh, and I wasn't aware that some people actually weren't aware what that was. I've been asked about that. It's just a BCM. They're very, very common. A lot of people put them on their ARs, like their AR pistols and stuff like that, but yeah, it's just a BCM, dude. I just chose that one because it actually biases back to the rear, which is, you know, what I want personally, because I like to pull in a little bit with my pinky while I'm pinching down with my thumb. One funny thing I just noticed, it's a little hard to pick up with the camera. There's some oxidization going on the inside of the muzzle brake here, so I'm going to have to scrub this rifle out tonight. There's evidence that I shot some semi-corrosive ammo. It's completely possible. At one point I had a couple Ziploc freezer bags full of 545 that I got from a trade. I traded a pistol and for some ammo that someone wasn't using, so yeah, it might have been some corrosive. It's an AK, man. Okay, we got some much better light here. So am I going to be going around the country again doing this everywhere on each corner of the nation again? No, definitely not. I'm going to concentrate on just getting my skill level up, and you know, really the point of last year was I wanted to experience a lot of these matches. You know, I really wasn't too worried about my skills. You know, I just wanted to, you know, have some fun and do every single AK match I could possibly find on Practice Score. And to my knowledge, I think there's only one left I haven't done, so pretty cool. But which I believe is in Michigan. I only just heard about this. There's apparently another one called Kalashtober, but I'm not sure what's up with that. They don't seem to advertise it much, so I couldn't find it on Practice Score. So if anybody has any information on that, maybe we'll have to check that one out. So, which ones am I gonna be going back to this year? Kalashnikon for sure. I am confirmed for Winter Kalashnikon. Definitely will be going back to Kalash Bash this year. I'd like to go back to AK Masters and Sons of Liberty to, you know, those are the only two matches last year I had any sorts of issues with, so I figure that'd be nice and go back and, you know, get a little bit of redemption there. Not going to be going back to Wisconsin. Just not going to be going back to that one. Trying to think. You know, man, Red Labor, them folks were so sweet. If I happen to be in the area when it happens, you know, sure, yeah, I'll go back if I happen to be in the area. But you know, I was like already in Southern California, and that match is up in the Bay Area, so you know, it was a little bit out of the way. You know, I happened to be there at the time, and it was a little bit out of the way, so you know, I did it anyway, and it was a good experience, but, you know, I don't know if I can do that again. Yeah, my life's a little bit different than last year, so, yeah, it's just going to be a lot different this year, and I want to concentrate on training, so I'm not really so concerned with traveling whatsoever this year at all. I mean, honestly, if I just go to KB this year, I'll be happy. I would really like to go back to AK Masters and you know, finish that match with two good rifles, you know, and have no malfunctions that are, you know, catastrophic malfunctions through the weekend. That'd be really nice. So, new matches I'll be doing this year for sure. I'm going to be doing my first Brutality match. I am confirmed for Midnight Brutality over in Virginia, so that's going to be really cool, man. So Midnight Brutality, man, that's a pretty cool match. Unfortunately, it happens the same weekend as Lethal Weapons Texas, and I'm just not able to make it to Lethal Weapons Texas and Midnight Brutality. But Midnight Brutality, man, so this is a straight night match, and you have options of white light all the way up to thermals, and you know, you supply your own. So I am there courtesy of VC Optics. VC Optics is sponsoring me for the event, and we'll see what I'll be running, but it's gonna be a fun old time. It's gonna be a fun old time. All I know is I'm gonna be running nods, probably PVS 14 or something like that, but we haven't put together my rig yet, so you know, we'll see. Things are definitely rolling along, man. I mean, 2022 was fantastic. We had a really fun year, man. That was a really fun year. I went all around the country doing AK matches. I can't really complain. And I mean, even the ones that didn't go well, I had a lot of fun. And I got to see a lot of my friends around the country. Got to do some new kind of projects, you know, and there's a few goals I set for the channel I wanted to do, and you know, we met them. I mean, honestly, all I wanted to do is get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I mean, you know, I just kind of, and you know, I kind of started this as like a vlog sort of thing, so didn't really start really taking it seriously until, you know, probably about halfway through the year. And that goes without saying, I really can't talk about 2022 and any of the goals that I was able to meet without talking about the people that helped me along the way. So, you know, folks like Charlie Tunnel Rat, man, I really couldn't do it without you. You know, Clayco 47 and Richella Bella, they've been so supportive of the channel. They've been so supportive of me personally. I can't thank them enough. And Ski, holy shit, man. If it weren't for him, I don't think this channel would have popped as much as it would during the beginning. You know, I had literally like 1-2 subscribers for months, and I was just doing this, and then all of a sudden he helped me film some videos, and man, that shit popped. All these folks, they've definitely been big supporters of me personally, big supporters of the channel. I can't thank them enough. And honestly, I just really try to be that positive guy, you know, be encouraging, you know, and a lot of that comes down to the attitudes of these folks around me and how much it's rubbed off on me, honestly. Just a bunch of folks with good attitudes that have been nothing but supportive of me personally, so thank you guys. And I also really could not go any further without thanking every single person that actually watches this channel, subscribes, likes, comments, any of that, man. I mean, it's been a fun journey. It's been a fun journey, and it's going to be a long journey. So I appreciate you guys staying tuned. It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's what we got going on in 2023. That's what's been going on in 2022. That's what the state of the most used rifles this year. That's honestly, I didn't really have too much of a plan today. I just wanted to talk about those rifles and segue a little bit into you know, some end of the year stuff, beginning of the year stuff. So I just wanted to get back acquainted and get back going, because man, since I got back from Red October, we have had quite a bit of setbacks, and they're still very apparent. They're still very apparent, but cannot stop, will not stop. It's not in me. Y'all stay safe. Y'all have fun. Y'all persevere.